Namaskar and welcome to 50 Years of Emergency in depth and in person. We have Mr. Subhabai Chatterjee from Kolkata. He is a veteran journalist. He was with Hindustan Standard when emergency was declared. And then later he worked with Ananda Bazar Patrika and also Hindustan Times, where he retired from. And he had written a note about the emergency days, the day when emergency happened when he was in Hindustan Standard. So let's start by talking about the day, and your note when you start, when the emergency was declared. What really happened that day?
That day was when he got to know of the news. That was, for me at least, that was not the age of television as such, or we had little of television exposure. PTI creed or something that gave us the news, and there was a commotion in the office. Everybody was shocked. Literally, everybody was shocked. What is happening? The Republic is only just 24 years old, and we are having such kind of application of fundamental rights, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. All of a sudden, everybody knew something was coming after the this landmark judgment was passed by Mr. Justice Jagmohan Lal Sinha on 12th of June. Something big was coming. Everybody was kind of anticipating that, but in the form and the timing, it was slightly in the dark about it. But then it came, and when it came, it was like a kind of bombshell all of us. And for myself, I was then very not very senior, but then already 75 in 7. I was almost 8 years in service as a reporter, not very young either, slightly experienced. But I was then. I remember particularly one day, not 25th June as such. That was there. Everybody was conjecture cases, intelligent cases, not so intelligent cases. What is going to happen? But everybody was thunderstruck. Something very big has hurt us. That feeling was there. Up from the Mr. Ashok Sarkar, who was our editor, chief editor, so Ashok Kumar Sarkar, Ananda Bazar group editor.
Yes.
And then there was Ashok Sarkar, then was Varun Sengupta, was the political editor of Ananda Bazar group, and others also. And particularly, I mentioned the names of Mr. Varun Sengupta and Mr. Gaur Kishore Roy. He was a Magsaysay awardee.
Who was this?
Gaur Kishore Roy.
Who?
Gaur Kishore Roy.
Gaur Kishore Roy. Okay. He was with you. Gaur Kishore Roy was with you.
He was an assistant editor, but then he was a very, very notable writer. I mean, he was a literature. He was a literature, and he used to write some satire columns for Ananda Bazar and Desh Patrika. Rupadoshi, his pseudonym was Rupadoshi, and that was very satirical, and he was a kind of whiplash. So the government as such could not, this kind of attack, this kind of criticism, they are not very used to that. And
was his piece published after the emergency was declared, or it was stopped immediately?
No speech, but he used to write columns which are very, sarcastic as it is. So he was not very popular among the ruling class. But then he was popular with the journalists, popular with the people. As same as Varun Sengupta, he wrote also another book. And when there was a transition of power from the Congress to United Front in 1967, he was a key figure. He used to report everything what is going there inside the Raj Bhavan at the in the dark of the night. Mukherjee and this thing. From those days, he was very much active, and he was a very well-known figure. And incidentally,
but in your note, let's come to your note. You said that you were out that particular day, and then you tried to call the office, and then I was told that nobody can pick up the phone. What was that incident?
You may remember that, at least I will let you know, that in the same year, 1975, it was in March when Hindustan Standard folded, and instead of Hindustan Standard, they brought out Business Standard in the morning and Hindustan Standard as an evening girl. Hindustan Standard stopped publishing as a morning paper. Business Standard came into that, and Hindustan Standard was an evening paper. So I was with Hindustan Standard. So we had to cover basically crime beach, law court, for some sensational reporting, as you can imagine. Yeah. So that day I had been to some court, Sidhardhashanker court, Sessions Court. Sessions Court, some very sensational things do happen there. Murder, crime passionnel, as they say. So I got something very big. So since it will take time for me to beat the deadline of 12 o'clock, 12:30 was the deadline. So from Sidhardhashanker Court to come back to your area to take time. So we have to take up a phone and give it to our reporter. At times, Steve himself would take down the note. So I picked up the phone. Mr. Somanda, I said, Somanda, my chief reporter, Dr. Soman Mukherjee. Another voice. The voice, I could not recognize it. Did I call the wrong number? Is it Ananda Bazar Patrika? Yes. Is it Mr. Mukherjee? No. Who are you? I told the reporter of the Standard. I'm going to give you a story. No. Telephone cannot be given. All the telephones have been under our control. Those have been not working for the staffers here. What is going on there? Who are you? We are from the Income Tax Department.
So it was a raid on Ananda Bazar.
Raid on because they were very, very critical about the goings on in the politics of power in Delhi and particularly also in West Bengal. Sidhardhashanker Roy was the chief minister there.
Yes.
He was Mrs. Gandhi's nominee. He was not very popular either with the Ananda group or as such with many people because, you can remember that the 1972 election to the assembly was totally rigged.
Okay.
So the government was there, they lacked a kind of bona fide, they kind of, kind of legal status as such, because Jyoti Basu, he lost Bhatanagar assembly election by 72,000 votes. Jyoti Basu himself to a CPI nominee. CPI was then with the Congress. They had an alliance. Jyoti Basu, he lost the election by 72,000 votes in an assembly.
Okay.
Assembly election.
Yes.
So that was the last result to have come in. And we junior people, we were in those days the linotype, machine, light typing, this thing. So we were taking some slips of paper, giving the results, only the results. Winner, next man, this thing, number, such and such, assembly number, Bharanagu, winner, Sivapada Bhattacharya, CPI, and second is Jyoti Basu of CPIM, this thing. So that bucket went down to the press, and that was the end of it. And after that, we saw that Mr. Ranjit Rai was sleeping on the carpet, on the floor.
Yeah. Sidhardhashanker Roy also, I am told, advised Mrs. Gandhi to declare emergency. He was the one legal brain behind emergency, I am told. So, so how did that reflect? Because if he is the legal brain, I am told as Chief Minister of West Bengal, he should have been very harsh on the people, in Bengal. How did that play out?
First thing he did, he immediately sealed the press corner at Writers' Village. There was a press corner for the press people to wait and for the people to come in press conferences who have to have a waiting place, like everywhere in the secretary. So he immediately took over that place and assigned it to as a visiting place for the visitors of MLAs and ministers. Press corner, not overnight, maybe on the day itself, was converted into place for the visitors of MLAs and ministers.
This press corner was in the secretariat, or where was the press corner?
In the secretariat. In front of the chief minister's room. On the big, the big passage, the big corridor there, right, Writers' Village. You have seen that. Chief minister's room, just behind by the side of the VIP lift, and the big this corridor, and on one side of the corridor was the press corner. So just modest cushions and some chairs, not very big. In those days, not many reporters are there covering Writers' Village. In those days, the reporter, without having at least 10 years experience, could not do the writer's bit. So that was with us also.
Okay.
I was doing something pretty hardly, 7 years line. Okay. But then that was the deed. And he was started another thing which ranked with me, that was census. All the reports had to be submitted to the censors. The censor, all the copies, not only writers' buildings, political bit copies, other things, everything. Specifically, news emanating from the secretariat and the political parties. Those had to go through census every day.
Was it a state censor or a central censor? Was it a state censor or a central censor?
That was those people in the Information and Cultural Affairs Department of the state government. They overnight became censor officers.
Censors.
They may be deputy director, assistant, or that kind of thing. Okay. So I raised the banner of revolt with my office. No, I am not going to let my copies be subjected to the scrutiny of some what should I say, some glorified clerks. As I told, as I said, some glorified clerks. They are not competent enough to go through my copies. So I am not going to cover Writers' Village anymore. And they agreed. They withdrew me from the Writers' Village, and I was doing, say, Anthropological Survey of India, Geological Survey of India, Victoria Museum, DVC, those things which were not very critical or that kind of scrutiny that was not there. So I was doing very interesting thing also, because Anthropological Survey, what is the type of, how many people live in a square kilometer in Bora Bazar? That's a big story. Anyway, that is beside the point. But I got myself withdrawn from the Writers' Village speech.
Yes.
What?
Please carry on. Yeah, please. I'll just
go back to that telephone call I could not make. I was very worried. Income tax raid, and that I was later told that some very influential minister in Mrs. Gandhi's cabinet, he was against this Ananda Bazar group, and that raid was conducted under his instructions.
Okay.
So I was only 28 and not very. I've never been very coward type of boy. So I just got dinner. So everybody there, at each and every telephone, there is a man. I didn't know. They were.
What about? I'm told two journalists, two journalists were arrested later.
Huh?
How did that happen? I was told two senior journalists were arrested and jailed also.
My senior people, they're all, they sat in their seats just transfixed. I mean, they're almost petrified. It is like this. They are not allowed to say anything. In fact, I was the first one to say, what is going on here? Look, just keep quiet. Just then I thought it would be better to not to make any noise. So that was the first day, and I thought I had a glimpse of Mr. Ashok Kumar Sarkar. It was almost not because there was a raid, because somebody could think that he was not a law-abiding or not giving income tax properly. That kind of insinuation was there. That hit him very much. He was almost devastated. But then he did not lose his his presence or his
Okay.
or his.
What about the two journalists? I'm told two journalists were arrested. I was told two journalists were arrested later, Mr. Barun Sengupta and one more person. How did that happen? And, yeah.
I'll tell you that. First thing first, in the sense that Ashok Kumar Sarkar was he was the editor, owner editor, but then he was a very kind-hearted man. He looked after all the employees as his own family. In fact, I enjoyed that kind of rapport with him. So that broke my heart. So Varun Babu and Gaur Kishore Ghosh, they got the part of the attack from the establishment. Varun Sengupta was arrested and sent to jail in Bakura Central Jail, far away from Calcutta. Nobody could see him from home every day or every week. So that was his punishment. And Gaur Kishore Ghosh was inserted at Presidency Jail, Alipur Presidency Jail.
Yeah.
So there are some interesting stories also around at this Gaur Kishore Ghosh. Gaur Kishore Ghosh, he was Magsaysay Awardee, I told you. He was Magsaysay Awardee. So Gaur Kishore Ghosh, he has very thick glasses, very high-powered glasses. So in the jail hospital, he saw the doctor. It was tested and some prescription was given for this specs. So it would cost 400 rupees. But jail regulation says no prisoner can be given a set of pair of spectacles costing more than 40 rupees. So he took, I'm going to tell this to the doctor. No, I will. Then he was given the type that was needed. And what he did, some Naxalite boys were also there at the time in the presidency. Normally, I mean, before this meeting goes at the jail, Naxals are very much against Gaur Kishore Ghosh. We want his head, we want his, that kind of postering was there.
Yeah.
So when they meet in the jail, they become very close friends.
Okay.
Naxal became very close friends with Naxalite people. And he said, look, they have given me 400 rupees. Those of you who need specs, you also, this is president. So a lot of people needed spectacles and lot of all of them got whatever was required of them, not the regulation 40 rupees. That was Gaur's achievement. And he narrated himself when he came back from jail in the very news meeting. Not news meeting. Before the news meeting, we had an informal chit chat.
Yeah.
There, the chief reporter, Hindustan Standard, Varun Sengupta, Gaur Kishore Roy, everybody. We all junior at the back, but we could hear and enjoy.
Okay.
So that was the thing.
But